Is Kickstarter dead? That was the curiosity, and that's what I want to explore in this vlog. Being a board gaming enthusiast, it's an interesting place. It's a wonderful hobby, especially given how board games have evolved, this evolution from war games to narrative games to now almost cooperative games and campaign games where you can get together with your friends or play solo, and the game kind of controls the AI. And of course, playing lots of those titles and seeing different artists bring their vision to the table. Kickstarter has been amazing for that. So I have backed a lot of projects. The other duality, which is a very challenging place to be in being a completionist and having poor impulse control, Kickstarter loves me, right? You see these projects, and it's not just the core game. It's like multiple expansions, multiple seasons of play, right? Campaign play, solo play, free roam play, all really, really amazing stuff. And Kickstarter certainly has allowed players, corporations, big groups to bring ideas to fruition and offer a lot more with Kickstarter exclusives. But it just seems like over the past couple of years, perhaps the life cycle, of Kickstarter has really changed. And more, I think Kickstarter as an idea, it's really a brokerage. What does Kickstarter offer? It's like exposure and the platform, and everyone knows it. Now, there's a few others out there, but essentially it's the ultimate skim factory. It really just skims off the top of profits, takes a cut, has zero liability, offers no protection. I mean, you back a couple of games, you know this. And even when it shifts it to the companies or the corporation or the individual, what are they really going to do? Because essentially you're giving over the money for what? A promise, but a promise that isn't even in writing or backed by anything. So it's an interesting portal. It's an interesting thing. I think the market forces of Kickstarter affecting it are ending its life cycle. Now, it'll go on and on like eBay and PayPal and all these others, but more and more what I'm seeing in terms of trends, I don't see it reversing. So think about some of those projects that are out there. I'm not talking about the ones that were overly ambitious or right from the beginning, and I've backed a few. You know better. There's no way that they can deliver all this stuff. That's an impossibility. They've never done any project before, and they're promising the world. But it's a title that you love. It's a game that you just want to see it on the table. So you back it and you say, well, worst case is I'll take a loss. Well, right. Are we talking money's money, time is time, resources are resources, no matter the amount. Sometimes it's the principle. But there is a difference between backing something for 50, 60, or 70 USD versus some of these. I get the core, I get the X pack, I get the character expansion, I get the season 1, season 2, season 3, I get the 3 other supplements, and next thing you know, you're in for like 500, 600 USD. There is a difference. You go into this almost expecting and saying, if I lose this, can I lose this? But from that perspective, what I've noticed more and more, you have delivery issues. Now, things have always been late with Kickstarter. Sometimes it's legitimate, sometimes it's not. You have to plan whatever that date is, minimum 6 to 8 months if they're an established company, maybe a year plus if they've never done this before, or the game is overly, or I should say project is overly ambitious. So delays are nothing new, but we're seeing delays above and beyond normal, perhaps from supply issues, production issues, shipping issues, raw materials, the disruption literally to the world the past couple of years, that's still in effect. So these massive delays with projects, the more something gets delayed, the company, the individual, the group producing it, we don't know what other circumstances they have going on, right? I can push a project out there. I can say delivery time is going to be a year from now. A year from now comes and I push it out another year. Well, the other projects I have going on, or my financial health in my company or as an individual, if that tanks, my other projects tank. It's one thing to have something delivered within a year. Then a year from that, things change. Well, the project's already been delivered. So it's been interesting to see a lot of Kickstarters where they had the project, they said they were going to deliver the project, their financials look good, they're holding strong, delays happen above and beyond, and of course sometimes there's incompetence and management issues and changeover and stuff like that influences it. But we see this idea of it doesn't get delivered even in a reasonable amount of time, gets pushed out a year, and then by that point the company is in a completely different place, unable to deliver, and all of its projects sink. The other thing that's interesting is this idea of shipping, right? Who could have controlled shipping and the way that has gotten out of control or influenced or expanded? That's got to be caught up somewhere, especially if you're running multiple projects. So it's kind of standard now in Kickstarter, the e-begging or the e-hostage for your pledge, additional shipping. Think about that. If you've been participating in Kickstarter, it would be, okay, project finishes now, pay up, 1 year from now, delivery. A year comes, it's a year later, and, well, we've got some delays, we're doing this, we're doing that, we need final approval by the IP, so it's going to kick it out 6 months. You're like, okay, but I'm all paid up, and I've got some other games to play. At some point, it'll arrive. 6 months come, 8 months come, and then you get that communication. We want to ship the game, but we can't because costs have gone up with shipping. We need another $100 from everybody to ship. So what happens there, when that happened in the past, there was a lot of outrage. Now it's just like shoulder shrug, where it's like, okay. So you almost have to go into these Kickstarters doubling shipping costs or tripling it to the point where it might not even be e-begging. Like, well, we're going to pick up the costs, but we're asking you to pay. No, now it's like, if you want your toys, you got to pay up even more. This idea of the individual, the company, the corporation, the group, the project lead, where costs have gone up with shipping, they can't pull it from anywhere else because the initial money is spent. They got their interest-free loan. Kickstarter took their percentage, skimmed off the top, and now they're due with these shipping costs. Well, maybe they can pull it from another project and kick it down the road, or they have to go back. So we see this more and more and more. And the other thing that's been interesting, what I'm seeing now, is not even full delivery of projects. This idea where a Kickstarter is truly an epic event. And there is a little bit of hype and a little bit of FOMO where, look, it might be coming to retail, but it's going to be core only and it's going to be crippleware and it's going to be stripped. Or you can get in on the Kickstarter here, get the exclusives, get season 1, 2, and 3, get the X pack, get the character pack, get the 3 expansions. And I'm like, I'm in because this game looks awesome and previous titles were awesome. I want to line everything up. But these games are such an enterprise that they deliver in waves, right? Wave 1 core, then 6 months later or a year later, wave 2, then wave 3. And you say to yourself, well, okay, look, I'd love to get everything all at once, but the truth is I'm never going to make it through all that pile of stuff. So if I get wave 1 and I play that and I enjoy that, just as I'm finishing that up, wave 2 hits. That makes sense. Of course, delays and other adjustments, but now we're starting to see where they deliver wave 1. They got your money. They got the interest-free loan. No liability. They have delivered, and some of these projects, they delivered exactly what they've promised. Fantastic, right? Really amazing game, all right? Amazing miniature system, having a lot of fun. You're looking forward to wave 2, but they run out of steam. They don't have the cash to deliver or even produce wave 2. So it just kind of languishes, and you get a couple of updates, you get a couple of delays, and now at some point you get that message, we're not going to be able to deliver wave 2 or wave 3. The project is essentially dead. They might release some PDFs, they might release some print and play, but essentially you've got half of what was promised. So this acceleration has just become the norm of Kickstarter. And I don't think it's necessarily the goal of the individual companies, corporations, project managers, and creators, because there is a passion there, there is a reputation there. But since Kickstarter only delivers this promise, and it's just a platform to exchange the market forces, the outside forces, that lack of stability. There's no way to counter it. There's no way to offer it. Well, the way to counter it, the way to do it, is called retail. It's called old school retail. Come up with a game, create it, pay for it, bring it to market when you bring it to market, and get your money back through sales. I don't think that model's coming back either, honestly. The Kickstarter model is so profitable, interest-free loans, the ability to create exclusives and push that out. I don't think it's going to go back to retail. Now, some companies, maybe like Games Workshop, certainly have the might and the muscle to still have retail, and that's their primary model. Although they're kind of doing a shadow Kickstarter. You see a lot of things that are exclusive. You see a lot of things that, there's going to be, hey, here's the core quest, here's the expansions. But once we're done producing it, we're not producing it anymore. It's an extreme limited run, pure profit. Games Workshop has that tracked down, what they're going to do, what they're going to earn. We see that. Of course, there are some titles that it's a single standalone board game or a system, right? Fantasy Flight puts out a lot. But that model's not the profit. That model's not like Kickstarter. So it brings us to this. What's the third model? What's that emerging? It's like back in the day, right? Web 1.0, where you're sitting there coding your website and adding good information and lots of, cool stuff. Web 2.0 is you just create the content for some other company. You do all the work. They keep all the profit because they're selling it for ads. It's this idea of like board gaming retail 1.0, Kickstarter 2.0. What's that 3.0? So it's not like Kickstarter is going to disappear, but the golden age or the initial function of Kickstarter, the past couple of years, the state of the world, I think, has altered that. And I don't see that coming back anytime soon. And it's going to be up to the consumer to make a decision and say, do I want to drop 500 USD, get something 1 to 2 or 3 years later than promised? And can I deal with the risk of paying twice the shipping, being held hostage, and deal with the fact that, let's say it's 3 waves, wave 1 will deliver, wave 2 and 3 might not manifest at all. Am I okay with that? Is the title that good? Or should I focus on something that's already been brought to market or some other type of gaming system? It's going to have to evolve. And I think the company, corporation, creator, I don't know what that 3.0 is, Kickstarter 3.0. But just like the initial Kickstarter, when that was achieved, there is something out there for this kind of 3.0 concept. And I think once that's developed and the delivery of it, maybe it's print on demand type stuff, that's a possibility too. You know exactly what it is. You print it on demand and you ship it. I mean, the tech is getting there. The tech is definitely getting there. Another 5 years or so, maybe 10 years. But whatever that model is, it's going to evolve and it's going to have its own life cycle. Kickstarter, still around. Your thoughts on it? Are you recently kickstarting some projects? Do you have some things that you're keeping an eye on? Or at this point, do you say, look, the Kickstarter, I'm going to wait for retail? Or do you say, I'm going to kick in the dollar so I get access to the pledge manager and kind of see where things go in that moment and really buy some time to see where it's going to deliver and how it's going to deliver? But that said, being a board game enthusiast, being a completionist, having poor impulse control, man, Kickstarter is an amazing, amazing place. And it doesn't help that some of the games that I really enjoy and titles that are centerpieces in my collection, they're Kickstarted. And that tech, that opportunity brought it to my table. So that temptation, that power, that ability to deliver is potentially there.